Okay, so were you there for like all the days of EVO?
I was there for pretty much every day. I actually flew in on Thursday just to kind of just kind of scope things out ahead of time and just to kind of get a lay of the land. And it was it's crazy the atmosphere that gets there just even the day before. Just everyone starts to fill up. The casinos start to fill up with like fighting game fans. And
No.
even last night, like around 9 o'clock, like on Thursday night, like around 9 o'clock at night, because apparently a couple of the planes got delayed. Everyone is just checking in like mad at like 9:30 at night, just lining up to just check into their rooms, and it's kind of a madhouse even the day before, and to the point that I couldn't even get into any of the bars. It was all kind of full.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was packed.
Yeah, like the fighting game crowd is pretty they're party animals.
They really are, and it's funny because I think the turnout's actually bigger than it was last year. Like last
Really? I thought last year was like the biggest year it was in a like ever.
It
Actually.
was like last year it was huge, but I remember last year being at the Paris, and I don't remember there being a turnout quite like there was this year. Just because of everyone that I kept bumping into on both sides of the convention center too. I mean, it really was just packed from wall to wall, just about.
Do you know like how many, like number wise, how many people there were this year?
Number wise, I'm not sure. I can't put a finger on it, but I got to say at least 1,000 easy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, probably at least 1,000 just even entering like and competing, right?
Oh, definitely, and that's across like all the games that were there between going from Tekken Tag Tournament 2 all the way to the end for Ultra Street Fighter 4. Ultra Street Fighter 4 actually had the most entrants, and I think it was about 2,048, something along those lines.
That's insane. That's almost double what Street Fighter's entrance was last year.
Oh yeah,
That's gotta be. That's crazy.
and I think it's because people thought they might have had a better chance this year, just because Ultra Street Fighter kind of leveled, I don't want to say leveled the playing field, but it kind of gave people a little bit of a clean slate that they can kind of at least jump in with some of the new characters or try and pick up their old character again and use the balance tweaks. And for some people it worked. I mean, a Rose wound up winning the whole thing, and Rose wasn't anyone I'd consider a top tier character last year, but
I know, right? I
yeah,
thought that was the craziest seeing that.
yeah, I think people thought they had more of a chance, and it's one of those things where you've got nothing to lose. I mean, to enter a tournament, it's only like an extra $5-10, so what have you got to lose? Maybe you'll even knock off a top player, and you have that memory to take with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty much exactly what happened. I know the five gods of the Japanese fighting games were all there, and none of them placed top 8.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mentioned this in my first day recap, is that it was a bloodbath on Friday. Like a lot of the top names were just out of it. Like they were just completely taken out. I think when I was watching the semifinals, and of course Shan was a defending champion from last year, and I was amazed that he was gone by the end of the night. I mean, I thought that he'd at least go in under the losers bracket, but then like I kept hearing like around me that, oh, he apparently got eliminated off stream, and I thought that was just the craziest thing.
Oh my God, it was off stream and he was eliminated?
That was a weird thing.
That just sounds totally like that should have never have happened. Like that definitely needed to be on stream. Why were they not streaming that one is what I want to know.
That's a weird one to me because
what was streaming at that time that anybody else would have rather been watching?
But that's a really weird thing to me. It's just because they did this with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on Saturday, where they had the winners bracket going on the main center screen, and they had the losers bracket going on the secondary stream on both sides of the convention center. And yeah, that was like kind of an ADHD nightmare where it was hard to keep up what was happening because there are some great matches going on in winners bracket, and over in losers you're trying to see who's still going to be there. They didn't do that for Street Fighter, and I thought that was the weirdest thing because a lot of names like Shan and like Infiltration were getting knocked off like off stream, and I thought that was the strangest thing because I thought that people would really be interested in those losers bracket matches just because they really are fighting for their tournament lives in that instance.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's like really, really reckless for them to. And also, you know what? It's not just like. I think it's just a stupid decision on their part because like obviously viewers are going to want to watch big name players like Infiltration. even if they are in the losers brackets. And not only that, it's harder to cover. Like, if you're there and you're covering the event, or if you, like, want to keep up with what's going on, like, it's impossible.
Yeah, like, I gotta hear it offhand that it happened. Like, it took me a while to even find the brackets just to kind of get an idea of who was still in it. But by the end of the night, I was able to get a handle on who was still left. I just don't know how most of the people got out. That was, I had to find that out later.
Yeah, and that's kind of meh. One thing I want to ask you, did you witness Daigo Yumehara losing? Was that something that you were there for?
I missed it. I couldn't, I didn't get a chance to see. I don't even remember who knocked him off either. And I know it's off the top of my head, it's off the tip of my tongue. And it's funny because I was talking with some of the Shackers that were actually there at the event also, and we were talking about who knocked off Daigo, and I just can't remember. I want to say it was Laufey who ended up taking the whole thing, but I think that's very wrong. But
I mean, I don't know if he was the one that knocked off Daigo. I do know that Laufey was the one who won, obviously, with his PS1.
He knocked off
Dual Shock.
No, I'm thinking of Laufey because he actually lost to Shan. That was his only loss of the entire weekend. Was lost to the champion, and he just ran the table from there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Actually, the only one I remember getting knocked off was Seiko, because he was the last one that was still in the running for the top 8, and he ended up getting knocked off by Pretty Ricky Ortiz.
Yeah, I remember that, and
that was crazy. That's probably like Ricky's biggest win.
Yeah, it right? Really is, because Kasako wound up taking the Capcom Cup in December, and the thing is, people thought he was going to take the whole thing, not just because he won the Capcom Cup, but because he was using EVO Ryu, who got a ridiculous amount of buffs in Ultra Street Fighter 4. Like, he's a top tier character now, and the combination of that and the momentum that he had, people thought he was going to take the whole thing, but wound up going out in quarterfinals. Kind of crazy.
So during this whole thing, we learned that the game is more unbalanced than we ever could have imagined, right?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean,
really?
I mean, I've been telling people that had the finals gone the other way, then the conversation would be Sagat is still overpowered. Sagat still needs nerfs. And now we're starting to get characters that we've never seen in top 8 before. We've never seen a Rose go that far. We've never seen a Zangief go that far. Like Zangief's kind of like legit now. He's got a lot more positive qualities to him, and now he's an actual threat. And a lot of those same top tier like players, a lot of those overpowered guys like Oni and like even EVO Ryu aren't doing as well as people thought they would. I think it's more of an even playing field than it used to be.
Wow, and so that's why we're seeing some of these characters that we thought we never would have.
Right. Although we're still seeing Sagat.
Yeah. I mean, I thought
change.
Yeah, some things will never change. I actually thought that this was Sagat's first almost win for EVO.
For EVO, I'm not sure, but I know that he's been perennially at the top of tournaments, even going back to like vanilla Street Fighter. That's why you always hear the term vanilla Sagat, is because that was always the strongest iteration of the character. He dominated a lot of tournaments, and it's been a gradual battle to kind of like even him up with the rest of the playing field from there. And he's still one of the best players out there. He's still one of the best characters in the game.
Can you describe for me like the overall shock, the kind of like, or the overall feeling at the end of the Street Fighter tournament? Like, what was the overall feeling, I guess, amongst like the Japanese players and everybody else?
I think it was more of a shock that after the fact we found out that Laufey was using a PSX controller. Like that was probably the most shocking thing more than anything. In fact, one of the best matches of the night, which was Laufey and Snake Eyes, both guys were on controller. Like, that's just unheard of, because everyone just works to get an arcade stick and beef up their arcade sticks, get custom parts for their arcade sticks. And there are some guys that are just like, I'm just fine with the controller. And to me, that's remarkable, because the Xbox 360 controller is not made for fighting games. It really isn't.
Nope.
The D-pad is awful. Like, the control sticks are, it's kind of unwieldy. Like, I'm just shocked that people actually still not only manage to use it, but use it well, which kind of goes to show that if you're at the top of your game, it's all based on the player. It's not so much based on what kind of hardware they're using.
Yes, which is a common misconception.
Mm.
So now I want to get into Marvel.
Right.
Because this was very, very emotional. I've met Justin and Chris G, and I know that they're good friends. And to see that, just to see his win was incredible. I mean, Chris G is obviously known to be one of the best Marvel vs. Capcom 3 players, and I think everybody was expecting him to come out on top.
People were expecting him to win last year as well. Like, he went into both of these tournaments as the heavy favorite. And part of that is because he pretty much figured out the secret sauce to Marvel. And that's that using Morrigan's Soul Fist with her Astral Projection hyper with Dr. Doom's hidden missiles is pretty much unbeatable. Like, there is almost no counter for it at all. And he's pretty much ridden that to win just about every tournament there is, with the exception of EVO. And the reason that he can keep getting away with that is because Capcom doesn't have the Marvel license anymore. They cannot balance it. They literally cannot update the game anymore. So what you see is what you get, and it's what you're going to get for pretty much the rest of the game, much longer the game lasts. So he's been able to ride that out. And not only that, even if someone did manage to get through it, his Virgil's the best in the country. Like, he's the best Virgil player out there. So
yep.
Just go level 3 X Factor and you can just wipe out your entire team in one go. But the thing with Justin is Justin's played that matchup so many times. And I don't know, I don't remember him playing this hand before, but he actually put Storm on lead. And I don't remember him doing that before, but it wound up being like the smartest move he could make, because Storm wound up causing Morrigan a lot of problems. He was able to get Dr. Doom out of the way really quick. And by the time that Virgil came out, he still had Wolverine in the back. So it actually wound up being a really smart move for him. And I think it was one that paid off. I love that Marvel, like, everyone acknowledges that the game is just broke. Like, the game is just, as far as balance goes, like, it's borked. But it's still, I called it the zombie of fighting games, because it's true. It's all about the players at this point that are keeping that game alive. It's all about the personalities. And I don't think you saw that any more than you did in the finals with Justin and Chris. And I was writing that, this whole thing has been like a redemption story for Justin. It's been a journey that's been going on since last year, because he should have won last year too. That run he went on last year was incredible, just going through everybody. And he was within an inch of winning those finals in 2013. And he dropped a combo. He dropped a combo on Zero, who had like 1 HP left, and Zero ran it back on him, like, all the way, and he wound up losing. So it was a heartbreaking loss, and it's one that I don't think he ever forgot, which is why he went through this tournament on a complete tear, never lost. Like, and not only did he not lose, there were only like maybe 1 or 2 instances where he came close. But yeah. But this was also a redemption story for Chris, because Chris, like I said, went into these EVO tournaments as the favorite. But last year, he lost to Justin on a timeout. So I'm sure he was replaying that in his head, and he wanted this to be his moment too. Like, this could have been his comeback story. And instead, it's another instance of him falling short.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
no, continue.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Chris next year. Because
I know, that's exactly actually what I was going to ask you about. I was like, so do you think next year is going to be like, 3rd time's a charm? Like,
I don't think anyone stops Chris next year. I think he's going to be one of those guys because he's a competitor. He's a really hardened competitor. Like, even after the whole thing was over and I headed out to the dining hall, I could see that he was taking the loss kind of hard. Like, he was kind of beating himself up over it just a little bit, because that's what really great competitors do. They focus on where they fall short and they focus on where they can get better. And I think that by next year, I think he's going to have it nailed.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think that it would be like very gratifying, especially for all of his fans and everybody watching, to see a win for him.
Right.
Justin's had his fair run of successes over the years.
He's also got a lot of detractors, though, just because he has cracked that nut. Just because not only do people feel like he abused the Morrigan Doom combo, but it's boring to watch sometimes. So he's got a lot of people rooting against him too, and that's kind of, in a lot of ways, that's kind of fun too. It's always fun to have a villain. Like, it's not just like Filipino Champ has taken that mantle and kind of run with it, but Chris G is kind of a villain in his own way, and I think it's a mantle that he's kind of embraced, and I think the fighting scene's kind of better for it, to be honest.
Can we talk about Justin Wong's barrel roll at the end there?
Oh my goodness. So I think one of the funniest things I saw about that was when I wrote the recap of the final day, and somebody in the comments, I want to remember who it was. It was either Snot 3353 or it was Smack Piece. It was one of them, and they linked a GIF with the X-Men animated series intro, and it GIFs right into Justin's barrel roll. Like it was. And the thing is, he shot out on Instagram the next day, and he got a huge bruise from it. Like, it looked brutal. Like, but that's what happens. You lose yourself in the moment. You get
and you slam yourself on the ground.
Yeah, this was a year in the making for him. This was a long time coming. He saw this light at the end of the tunnel for the past 365 days. So I think this has been something he's really worked towards. And, if nothing else, it's a great story. It's an EVO moment. It's something you're going to remember. You're going to remember Justin Wong's win. You're going to remember his barrel roll afterwards.
Yep, that's going to live forever in FGC history. I wanted to just touch on how emotional, because, obviously Marvel and Street Fighter got the most attention, because they always do. But there were a lot of other emotional events that happened during EVO this year. I know one of them was the Killer Instinct win.
The Killer Instinct win was a big one, and CD Jr. got teary-eyed on stage, and that was quite a moment. And honestly, I think it was a really positive thing for that whole tournament. Was a positive thing for Killer Instinct, given how it was booed out of the building last year. Just the mere mention of Xbox One just had the entire room just showering everyone with boos. Like, I think it's a big turnaround from last year's announcement, and I think everyone really takes Killer Instinct as a legit game now. And honestly, I can't wait to see it next year, because I've been telling people that it, as impressive as it looked, Iron Galaxy has some big plans for it for season 2, to the point that they're going to add mechanics. So what you see this year is going to be completely different from what you see next year.
And that's always interesting to see what road that'll take.
Right.
Another one was Blaze Blue.
Okay, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not a Blaze Blue guy. I will say, wow, were those finals fun to watch. I almost had no idea what was going on, because I'm not familiar with the characters, not familiar with the moves, but just the atmosphere of it, the atmosphere of how the crowd just went nuts after the Astral finish, and after and just between the two players, it's nothing like I've ever seen, and certainly nothing I've ever seen for an anime game. Like, I remember watching Persona and King of Fighters last year, and it didn't get nearly that kind of like reception that it did that Blaze Blue did. And honestly, I'm kind of interested in looking more into it now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, because I've never paid attention to Blaze Blue either, to be completely honest. But
I knew of it, but I've never actually tried it. I think that might change really soon.
I think the intensity of this year, that got a lot of attention, just the sheer intensity of the matches this year. It definitely got a lot of people interested. I read that there were a few tears shed there as well. Yes. And I think that's it. I think I'm pretty...
Oh, you're not going to ask me about Smash?
Okay. You know what? Andrew is going to be extra pissed if I don't ask you Smash. Oh my god, that's so bad. I didn't even consider it a thought, because I didn't follow Smash because I don't play Smash. But you got to tell me.
But there's no denying, though, that Smash has a huge audience.
Obviously.
And I kept hearing throughout the finals that as I was checking Twitter, that stream had hit well over 100,000 viewers. Like, apparently
probably have the most viewers.
Yeah, it's going to be in line to smash records again. And it was just so intense, and not even from characters that I expected. I didn't think Peach was going to be such an effective character. I didn't think that Jigglypuff could be that guy. I didn't think that Armada had such a great combo between Jigglypuff and between his throw and transitioning to his rest move. It was just kind of the craziest thing. And honestly, I think it was a great way for Smash Brothers to go out. And I'm saying that this is going to be the way Melee goes out, because before the tournament, Reggie Fils-Aimé popped up on screen and delivered a welcome message to all the Smash players. And this was Nintendo's way of continuing to try and make up for last year's, cluster F of their whole copyright whatever thing. And they made it clear that yes, they're supporting all the Melee players. They love the Smash community. Well, they do now anyway, and they want to see the game succeed. But they also kept making the point. They're like, hey, we've also got a new game coming out this year. And I think between Nintendo continually trying to get that message out, and also between some of the new characters that we've seen, like we saw the Fire Emblem characters this week, and that looks pretty sweet. So
Totally.
between all that, I think this might be the last time we see Melee at EVO, and I think next year it's going to transition to Smash on Wii U.
Yeah, me too. Well, me too. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
I think that this was definitely probably the last year for Melee.
And if it is, then it went out on top. And I'm very impressed with the way with the finals between Fox and Jigglypuff. I think that Hungry Box put up a good fight with his Jigglypuff, and oh my god, I'm so terrible. The winner is escaping me right now. But the name of the winner is escaping me right now. But he did win 2 years in a row, and that is incredibly impressive. And I think he came out of winner's bracket too, which is that's just insane.
Beastly.
Totally
beastly.
I want to see if he can do a three-peat next year with Smash on Wii U if they decide to go in that direction.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how the players are going to carry over from that game to this one.
And
if we have any new challengers.
Like Robin from Fire Emblem and Little Mac and how all those do in a tournament setting. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, we all know Mega Man won't be doing that well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, so that was cool. I think we have enough. He'll do his editing magic. I think. Is there anything else you want to mention before we're done? Any crazy moments that blew your mind?
I just want to throw out a quick shout out to the EVO to the indie sector, because EVO also has an area for indie games, and a lot of those indie games that are multiplayer based, that are competitive, are just a lot of fun to go through with a few friends, with attendees there. Games like Lethal League, where you're trying to bash a baseball and trying to bash your opponent with it, and Gunsport, where it's like a volleyball game, but where you're just aiming guns at your ball. It gets that competitive spirit going, and it's also it's a great activity with friends. So I look forward to that aspect of the tournament every year. I look forward to getting to see that area, and the indie developers work really hard to get those games up, and I gotta give them credit.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was Divekick there?
Divekick was not there. Iron Galaxy was actually there representing Killer Instinct, but they wanted to get Divekick there, but they weren't able to get any last hour things done, but they were there. The developers were there, and they were happy to talk about the next season of Killer Instinct.
I actually played Divekick at PAX East 2013 before it came out, and I actually beat Mike Ross.
Nice.
Yeah.
I asked Dave Lang, I go, is it going to be there again this year? Because the side tournament last year was bananas. It was just a bunch of people that's lined up. It was bigger than, I think, the King of Fighters tournament, too. And, of course, like he said, that they weren't able to get it at the last second, which is too bad, because it would have been nice to have Johnny Gat there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm a huge fan of Divekick. I love that game. Yeah. And I think that would be so cool if they started doing Divekick at EVO.
Yeah.
I know that, like, fighting game players love Divekick. It's the most basic mechanic, and it's amazing. It's such a good tool for, I actually think it's great for new players that are new to fighting games and old players, because it's literally the game of spacing.
Right.
And
I think that's something that you guys should stream when the next gen console versions come out, because that's supposed to be coming in the next few weeks.
Okay, so this is some random topic, like just little random things I wanted to touch on before the end. Tekken 7 trailer that released.
Yes.
Now I know that was not an official, like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
That was not supposed to happen. Apparently in the morning, I think somebody leaked it. I want to say it was IGN, but it might have been somebody else. But yes, the Tekken 7 announcement was leaked, and it was said during the announcement that was not what they intended to show on that day. But they went ahead and showed it. They had something else. Apparently, they have something else up their sleeve beyond Tekken 7. And the common consensus is that it's going to be Tekken Cross Street Fighter, but for right now, they decided to throw out Tekken 7. It looks really exciting, and I'm honestly more surprised that they're calling it the final chapter, that they're essentially saying this is going to be it. So, I mean, I don't know if that means that they're going to go to Tekken Tag Tournament from there, because those are always out of continuity anyway. But
Yeah.
I think it's kind of interesting that they're going to call this one a series and say, all right, this is it. We're gonna go out like this.
Yeah, that shocked me a little bit too. I'm a huge Tekken fan, so I was extremely excited when I saw the trailer, but then I was really sad when I read the rumors, and I was like, oh no.
But hey, Unreal Engine 4, I mean, that's something, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited to see how that's going to come out, and I was actually a little disappointed that they didn't have any gameplay ready, but I guess they said they're saving that for Comic-Con, so we'll see what happens from there.
I'm excited, and it was great talking to you, Ozzie.
Yes, great talking to you too, Sam. Have fun out there, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Yep.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.